Hi, everyone. Hi. Welcome to our first event of the year, and this is actually our second event since we formed the alliance last year. Last year, actually, January, this was when we kick off and we had an event and party, and I think people really liked it. Who are we? Who here for the first time? Anyone? Oh, a lot of people. Welcome. You will get to meet all 5 groups, and maybe you can pick which one do you like, and maybe you can learn a little more and network with us and attend our events because we have a lot of events happening throughout a month. So who are we? We are a community of groups and tech leaders promoting technology, advancing innovation, technology education, and its growth in Southwest Florida region. We are nonprofit and nonpartisan, and the groups in our alliance: Southwest Florida Data, Southwest Florida Coders, VR and ER of Southwest Florida, PI is Southwest Florida, and SWFL Security. We have events. Again, we have a lot of events throughout the month. If you go to Meetup, we post events on Meetup, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, so pretty much we everywhere. My event, I am VR and ER South Florida. We're going to be hosting an event on February 2nd. It will be online, but usually we host events online and 1 month in person. So we're looking to host an event in March, probably in FSW. If you did here, maybe. SWFL Coders, they will have an event on February 9, full stack development with Stopabate, right? SWFL Sec Meetup will be on February 21st online. We Think the Juice with Jonathan Singer. And PI, South of Florida, Data Science from First Principles on February 23rd, also online. So we are all here to talk about the trends that we are as tech professionals and tech leaders are seeing for 2023. And of course, the main purpose of technology is to advance innovation to improve human life, right? So pretty much safeguarding the human experiences through technology. We are going to be seeing a lot of companies and startups that are focusing on that particular subject. I'm going to talk real quick about 10 tech trends, and then each group will take a stage to talk a little bit more in detail what they see in their particular areas. But those main trends are, of course, AI. So AI is going to be pretty much everywhere, and it will help to create more intelligent products and services and pretty much disrupt every single industry, but of course, making it better. We're also seeing a lot of new companies coming this year with assisted reality, so AR, VR, that will become sort of like an extension of your cell phone for a consumer-grade technology, and also a lot of innovation on the industrial headset. Blockchain and NFT, of course, will also advance significantly in 2023 as companies create more decentralized products and services. We're also seeing the use of decentralization in even political voting, or Zarel, I think we'll talk a little more about it. We are going to be seeing a lot of editable nature. So using altering DNA will help us to create new materials that will be like water resistant or even self-healing. A huge green and sustainable technology. A lot of investors are looking for companies that can identify, for example, their environmental quality, air quality, water quality. So it's very big. Robotics, of course, will be continue improving and become more human-like. Food, water, agriculture. Some of the up-and-coming companies are those that are reducing the food waste and improving the life of the products on the shelf, right? And also, I found out about this cool startup they're doing, creating a camera that is scanning the food waste at the restaurants and actually analyzing all the food waste, and then they are kind of sorting and giving out the data how the restaurants can reduce the food waste. So a lot of those cool companies, and of course, we're going to see autonomous systems, self-driving cars and boats and ships, delivery robots, and of course.
Okay, my name is Arela Grace, and I am the founder and organizer of Southwest Florida Coders. We've been around for 5 years, and really our whole goal is really to connect people that are interested in programming, regardless of what your level of expertise is, or if you just want to learn from scratch, we are here for you. That's really our community. So for us, there has been, the matrix looks like it, but it has been a lot going on for software development, and a lot had to do with the AI, with the newest thing with ChatGPT. I'm sure many of you have heard for like a lot of different things, from writing papers to, I don't know, answering questions and everything, but also on the software development world, we have also been using it a lot. You can see here on the sample, all you have to do is like do a prompt, and it will, in a matter of seconds, will write the code for you. I have played with this, and really, it's not just little code that it can actually do small applications. You can ask it to do, you can ask it to do like a mini to-do app, and it will tell you all the files that you can do. It will give you the instructions as how to hack it up together, and also can really complete our code and make our lives as developers easier. ChatGPT is being done by OpenAI, and you're probably gonna hear a lot more from me and my friends here. Since ChatGPT started, there has also been created some extensions this year. One is Luna. The first one is a Chrome extension, and the other two are extensions for text editors that we use. The most common one that we use is VS Code, but they're really now extensions for almost every text editor that there are. Some of those promise awesome things like keep your session alive. I don't know if you have been playing with ChatGPT lately, but there are times when you try to play and it just kicks you out, or it says it's too busy. Some of these ones are promising to solve that issue, which is great. There are also extensions that allow you to like plug it in directly into your text editor, so you don't have to actually go to the website. You can just ask the question right from your text editor and convert it. You can also highlight a section of code and tell it to explain the selection. Oops. You can also tell it to refactor a selection and how to optimize the code as well. Another big player for AI in software development is Copilot. Copilot was developed by GitHub. It has been doing a lot lately. Now it's a paid version. You pay $10 a month, I believe. There are multiple extensions for most of the most well-known text editors for coders. And on the report, they're saying that 74% of people focus more on satisfying their work, 88% of people feel more productive, and 96% are faster at repetitive tasks. The one that actually powers Copilot is also OpenAI. OpenAI has another player that is called Codex, and they are the ones that are actually behind the power of Copilot. Copilot also offers an extension that is called Copilot Labs, and similar as selecting the code and telling it to explain the code, you can also highlight a piece of code and actually translate it to any other programming language like that you want, which I think is pretty cool. And now talking about Codex. Actually, to me, I mean, I've been a coder for about 5 years, and Codex, actually, I just learned about this yesterday as I was prepping for this talk. I honestly don't know why it didn't get a lot of fuss before ChatGPT, because this was actually done on 2021, and I find it super amazing because, like, literally, you just go to the site, you write what you wanted to do. You can actually make a game. It will write the code for you, and not only write the code, but it will actually compile the code and give you the demo right there. As you can see right there, there's, I want a fire thruster with so many pixels and blah, blah, and it's writing everything for you right there, and you are getting to see the demo, and you have the code right there. So that is pretty amazing. And again, this is the one that powers GitHub Copilot. Okay, moving away from software, AI and software, there is also quantum computing. There's a lot of advances. Just to give you like a little bit of history, on 2021, IBM developed Eagle, which has 127 qubits. It was the very first one to have over 100 qubits, and then the following year, which like towards the end of last year, they released Osprey, which had 433 qubits, and that's almost 3 times what it was. And this year, they are actually getting ready to release Condor, which is going to be over 1,000, which is more than double. And we're seeing just this in a matter of, from one year to another one. There are a lot of things that quantum computers can do, obviously, because of the amount of processing power that they have compared to regular computers. And just to give you a few examples, we have ExxonMobil that strives to move the world's cleanest burning fuel across the globe. CERN is searching for Higgs events and the origins of the universe. Mitsubishi Chemical is applying quantum computing to help develop lithium oxygen batteries with greater energy density. So this is just a little bit of what is actually going on. You can read these case studies at the IBM page. There is a lot going on right now. There's a lot of money being invested this year as well. And there are really like a lot of opportunities that what quantum computing can solve. Some of those like the drug discovery and development for the pharmaceuticals, financial modeling and analysis, just to have better projections of how finances are going to play. Machine learning, obviously, we can train a lot more having this power of computer, and also cybersecurity. Some of the trends for blockchain and NFTs, you all heard about Web3. It's something that we try to be careful of how we talk about it, because it's something that while there's a big movement trying to move on that, there also has a lot of challenges. But some of the trends that we're seeing for this year is that regulation is coming. Obviously, we have heard that Congress and lawmakers are really paying attention of what's going on. So there is going to be a regulation coming, but there are also a lot of others that are welcoming this. Wyoming actually used its state laws to become the very first state in the United States to actually welcome any blockchain companies. Just in exchange of giving you, an overseas on the regulation, they will actually give you tax breaks and everything, and they want to be Web3 friendly, as they call themselves. Also, Colorado is the first one this year that is accepting cryptocurrency as payments for government fees, which I think is also very exciting. Now, for NFTs, I think most of us, when we have heard about NFTs, we just think about a digital asset, like images that are sold for a lot of money. Now, this crashed last year a lot, kind of like the cryptocurrency. It had a big crash. But there is now this movement that people are trying to do now to make it worth something, and actually make it have some kind of utility. And those are the NFT utility NFTs. And basically what they are tokens that can be used to many different things. One that Evie mentioned earlier, it will be like voting, because when we use anything that is NFT safe on blockchain, which is very secure, is unique, it cannot be destroyed. So it could have many different applications, like voting. You could also use it like to create tokens for concert tickets, or for even buying like pieces of clothing or something, like just a token that you can actually use and monetize with it. There is also a lot of hype about decentralizing the metaverse. Also the centralized social network, which is still kind of hype because we don't know what's going to happen. While the idea sounds good to a lot of people, there is also a big problem when there's no censorship or any kind of control. But that is something that the Web3 community is going to have to figure out this year to see if they're going to move forward or not. Decentralized finance, well known as DeFi, and greener Web3. Greener Web3 is actually one of the biggest challenges right now because there is just very bad for the environment. I think like the biggest movement that has happened lately is the Ethereum network changing and reducing about 90% of their the energy that they could consume otherwise. So I think this is going to be probably one of the biggest ones that Web3, blockchain, and NFTs are going to try to focus on to try to move forward with the with that. And lastly, machine learning and software apps. I mean, we see machine learning in almost everything. You see it on your everyday life, basically, you know, from Spotify, just sending recommendations based on your taste. All Google products basically use it, you know, YouTube for recommendations, Google Maps to try to get better and smarter of getting like the distances. It's really everywhere. Also on video streaming, adjusting prices, and you know, getting a smart pricing, just checking even like the inventory levels for e-commerce, and also on social media. As you can see, you always see something and then you see something else related because everything is machine learning there. And that's it for me. I'm going to give the pass to our friends from Southwest Florida Data. Thank you.
Did I mess it up? Sorry. I had a juggling act I was gonna do. Part of it. Hi everyone, I'm Yves Firestone. I'm the helping organize the Southwest Florida group. Southwest Florida Data Group, I should say. Southwest Florida Data is a place where you can come learn and share knowledge about all things data. So we're talking data science, data analytics, warehousing, machine learning. As far as coding languages are concerned, we're talking Python and SQL. My talk is focused on edge computing and IoT, mostly IoT actually. I kind of went down that rabbit hole, but I'll cover health analytics and autonomous vehicles within that topic as well. Edge computing is a distributed IT architecture that puts data processing, analysis, and intelligence as close as possible to the endpoints that are basically generating the data. So that computing at the edge is typically housed in a purpose-built device, such as edge gateways, which is basically the second or the middle layer that you're seeing there. But sometimes that computing power can be housed in various devices as well, including the endpoints themselves. So we're talking now the bottom layer with the Internet of Things. Oh yeah, I didn't cover. So basically Gartner predicts that by 2025, more than 50% of enterprise managed data will be created and processed outside the data centers or the cloud. Basically, like I mentioned earlier, bringing it closer to where the data is actually being generated, that processing power, I should say. More than 15 billion IoT devices will connect to the enterprise infrastructure by 2029. So Internet of Things, this describes, or IoT, describes the network of physical objects or things that are embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies for the purpose of connecting and exchanging data with other devices and over the internet. These devices range from ordinary household objects to sophisticated industrial tools. So as far as household objects, I'm pretty sure most of you guys have smart TVs, smart refrigerators, smart bulbs, or even your smart watches are a part of that. So IoT devices, according to Statista, worldwide will jump from 15.1 billion in 2023 to 29.4 billion in 2030. Actually, International Data Corporation, or IDC, puts a higher prediction on it, that they're saying that by 2025 there will be 55.7 billion IoT devices generating nearly 80 zettabytes of data. What are the industries that can benefit from IoT? So we've got manufacturing with production line monitoring to enable proactive maintenance on equipment. Um, One of the industries that are really benefiting from it greatly and are seeing some really really big breakthroughs is the automotive. So with connected cars, automobile makers or dealers can have a continuous relationship with their customers. Instead of selling cars, they can charge drivers usage fees, offering a transportation as a service using autonomous cars. IoT also allows those car manufacturers to upgrade their cars continuously with the new software, a big difference from the traditional model of car ownership in which vehicles immediately depreciate in performance and value. Transportation and logistics with their fleet of cars, trucks, and ships and trains that carry inventory can be rerouted based on weather conditions, vehicle availability, or driver availability, thanks to IoT sensors or the data that you get from that. So there's also the temperature control monitoring uh, component of that, where food and beverages, flowers, let's say, pharmaceutical industries, they often carry temperature sensitive inventory, and this technology can assist with that as well. As far as healthcare, IoT asset monitoring provides multiple benefits to the healthcare industry. Doctors and nurses often need to know the exact location of patient assistance assets such as wheelchairs. We'll also get into wearables and other um, kind of monitoring applications with healthcare. Um, so wearables to monitor human health analytics, as I mentioned earlier. Um, IoT wearables enable people to better understand their own health and allow physicians to remotely monitor patients. With retail, this would allow you know, managers to manage their inventory, improve customer experience, optimize supply chain, and reduce operational costs. For example, smart shelves, where uh, you know the shelves could be fitted with weight sensors that can collect information and send the data to the IoT platform to automatically monitor inventory and trigger alerts if items are running low. Um, Also, beacons can push targeted offers and promotions to customers to provide an engaging experience. As far as industrial, you got smart monitoring, which I'll cover more in a little bit. Basically, the use of IoT devices for connected assets to monitor the health of remote machines and trigger service calls for preventative maintenance. So, what is Industrial Internet of Things, or IIoT? The application of IoT technology in industrial settings, especially with respect to instrumentation and control of sensors and devices that engage cloud technologies. So recently, industries have used machine-to-machine communication to achieve wireless automation and control. With the emergence of cloud and other technologies like machine learning and analytics, industries can now achieve a new layer of automation. Some common uses of IIoT are smart manufacturing, smart power grids, smart cities, connected logistics, smart digital supply chains, connected assets, and preventative and predictive maintenance. IIoT is sometimes called the fourth wave of the Industrial Revolution, or Industry 4.0. Industry 3.0 is when we use automation, computers, and electronics to complete tasks independent of each other. In Industry 4.0, machines that are connected to the internet and can communicate with each other uh, can uh, can take care of more complicated tasks in a more collaborative manner. Um, Industry 4.0 is centered around four principles: interoperability, or the ability of the machines and sensors, devices to connect and communicate to each other via the internet; information transparency, the ability to gather digital information based off real-world statistics; technical assistance, the ability to support human decisions by aggregating data; or even the utilization of what they call cyber physical systems that help workers to perform tasks that are, let's say, unsafe or unpleasant. You can think wirelessly controlled machines that were used in Industry 3.0. They'll basically be upgraded and just be a lot better, being that they're more connected to the internet specifically. Decentralized decisions, the ability of CPS, or as I mentioned, cyber physical systems, to make decisions on their own and perform tasks as autonomously as possible. And that concludes my talk. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, the
Yes.
mic is on. Okay, just let me know when you want me to pass the slides.
Okay. So yeah, I get to be that presenter tonight that says next slide, please. So sorry about that.
Okay.
Welcome everybody tonight. I'm going to be discussing a few different things, not necessarily all with cybersecurity, but security in general. As you saw at the beginning of the presentation, a lot of technologies about human security, and that's just not just cybersecurity. It's things like our health and our privacy. So we're going to touch a little bit on each of those types of themes. Some of these items will cross over with things you've already heard. I saw with Ivis's talk on IoT. If you heard things like I heard, where it was monitoring things, especially around what you're doing with your own products, I'm hoping you're thinking about privacy. I sure am. And we'll get to that in a moment. That's probably about 3 slides down. So I'll try to quickly go through this stuff because I know we've already been here a while now. Everybody probably wants to get to the social part, get some pizzeria, and I know we still have one more presenter after me. So moving on. One of the trends that we're seeing right now is in technology and advancement of it is called digital twins. And a digital twin is you may assume that it's a copy of a device, but in a digital form. So you heard things like cyber physical earlier in one of the last slides. This is sort of a cyber physical system where you're taking physical components that exist in the real world and creating a digital twin of them. Now, what's the advantage of doing that? Well, because technology moves so quickly these days and it continues to advance quicker and quicker. For example, I'm going to jump around a little bit. ChatGPT, which you heard earlier, is now the quickest platform to reach 1 million users. If you haven't seen the statistics, they've reached 1 million users within 5 days of release. That's the quickest of any platform to hit that metric. So that's just how much of a disruption it can be and how much disruption that will continue to be across the whole technology spectrum and how it may impact us in the future. So digital twins is going to help us in a lot of different ways. One of the ways it can help us is in the use of it to actually do analysis, do cybersecurity discovery, vulnerability testing of a product without actually having the physical product in front of you. Because what the digital twin has done is it's created almost like a virtual copy of it, and allows you to do things like detect what kind of software is running on it, what kind of OS, what kind of architecture, what type of interfaces does it have, all these different things, and then allows one to probe that digital twin without impacting actual production devices and production data. So using that, it's going to empower users that are using this technology to be able to move even faster, to discover additional capabilities, to do that, to perform different analysis, to increase productivity and production, to increase our delivery speed to market. And that's one of the things I'm quoting Forbes down there at the bottom. The other thing too is just the market alone for digital twins in 2020, this is considered a new technology. In 2020, the market was already exceeding $5 billion just in the creation of digital twins and the use of them and these different aspects. And Capgemini and their research is saying from 2021 to 2027, there's going to be a 35% increase in that annual growth. So that's just amazing to think of a technology that's really just coming into its own, that's increasing its value that much, and seeing the different usages of it. So I talked about its use in cybersecurity, and we see this use, and you can see by the photo there is in healthcare. As a person who works in the medical device manufacturing industry, using digital twins of medical devices allows us to perform that testing to make sure that we're reducing the risk to patients and patient harm without having to test them and find issues with them after they've been implanted in you, which would be really bad, right? So it allows us to move more quickly in those discoveries and fix things before they actually make it to the market. Next slide. All right, so real quick here, this particular image, and you see the watermark down the bottom, was actually created by one of the AI art generators. I prompted it. I said, I want to talk about digital health, and I want to make it about hospitals at home. And I don't know if you've heard that term yet, hospital at home. If you haven't, you're gonna start hearing about more often. I said, give me a hospital at home in the retro-futuristic art style, which is also sometimes called atom punk. So think of the 50s styling, but with atomic age stuff. And this is what it gave me. I thought this is a great example of that retro-futuristic feel of just having a comfortable area in the home where you can actually get your healthcare taken care of. You can, and that's going to be the hospital at home. And this market is just amazing because it's projected by Grandview Research that it's going to hit $1.5 trillion by 2030. Now, just think about that. The digital health market just exploding over just the next 7 years to become that just that worth that much. And some of those reasons are because of what we saw with COVID, the great healthcare worker shortage, overcapacity in the hospitals because they didn't have enough capacity to treat everyone. And because of these chronic illnesses, the pandemic, what we've seen is people are now drawing away from that in-person type care and would really like to have that care be available to them anywhere where they're at, whether that's at home or on the go. So the ability to increase that in-person care at home or where you're at is what people are asking for. And we've seen that explosion also along the lines of telehealth and telecare. We saw that with being able to set up our appointments with our doctors and actually talk to them and even potentially get diagnosed and prescribed medicines just across the phone or a Zoom meeting or whatever technology that's being used, right? As well as mobile technology, and you saw with the IoT, mobile technology is part of IoT, and you might hear that called IoMT, or Internet of Medical Things, and then mobile technology. So our phones, Apple being one of them, is one of the top actual medical device producers now, in fact, because some of their stuff has to be registered as a medical device that they do. But we're going to see more and more sensing coming out that's wearable. So, we saw the next generation of Apple Watch being able to measure your temperature now. At some point, we'll see blood pressure, all these different metrics that could be measured by these wearable devices and actually report back to your doctors to help monitor your health and then make that connection when there's something wrong, like what we've seen with the ECG measurement on the Apple Watch and being able to report abnormalities and people able to get that care as soon as they needed it. And then I mentioned hospital at home. This is that new movement of not needing to go to the hospital for so many different things, to the point where those four walls, the hospital's four walls, which is typically where your traditional treatment occurs, are dissolving now, so that healthcare can be taken care of anywhere that you are, so that makes it more convenient for you. And just recently, just last year, Orlando Health received approval from the state health agency, I forget their name, sorry, to actually be able to provide acute hospital level care in the patient's homes. And what better way to receive care than where you're comfortable at too, because that's another metric, and we've seen it, and it's sometimes called white coat syndrome, if you haven't heard of it. white coat syndrome you see kind of manifest when people go in and they get their blood pressure taken and it's really high, but they never have high blood pressure otherwise. It's because they're in an area that stresses them out. It doesn't have them being comfortable. Well, at home, you're going to be, more comfortable. Your metrics are going to be better. It's more natural for you to receive care then. So this is a really important change in our digital health. And this is also going to drive what I'm going to talk about on the next slide, privacy. So where's all this digital stuff gonna go as we digitize everything, including our healthcare? Who's gonna have access to it? So the question used to be back in the 80s is like, do you know where your kids are at after sunset, right? And then it was, do you know who your phone is calling and phoning home to at 2 a.m. in the morning? And now it's going to be, do you know who's collecting your data and what they're collecting it and who they're giving it to? So always we need to be considering about privacy and look at it not as, well, I don't have anything to hide. Look at it as more of, I don't have anything to show you. Like if I have something to show you, then yes, I can give you my data. You should be in control of your data, not the other way around, which is what it is right now, where companies are in control of it. So privacy is playing a huge part in all this digitization. And we're seeing in the US is finally starting to pick up creating privacy regulations. In fact, from 2021 to 2022, there was a 106% increase in the introduction of privacy legislation across the US, and that's from the IAPP. And going down, the next few bullet points are actually from them. 5 states considered consumer privacy bills for the first time last year. This is how much more that we're seeing now as individuals, as citizens, as consumers, how important privacy is becoming to all of us. Then 2 additional states just recently passed consumer privacy bills, bringing that total of states that have comprehensive consumer privacy bills up to 5 now, California being 1, Virginia, Colorado, Utah, and Connecticut. Now, there are some partial bills that exist out there, like Illinois has something about biometrics, and other states have some partial ones too, but comprehensive consumer privacy bills, it's just these 5 states, and we just heard about, I think, 4 more states now are on track to pass theirs too. So the global data privacy software market, how do we protect our privacy, whether we're the company that's collecting the data or we're the consumer? We're going to see this market just continue to increase in value from a data privacy software aspect and protecting that data and being able to move it around in a way that keeps it safe. So right now we're looking at $2.36 billion market, and just last year that's going to increase over the next few years to $25.85 billion, and that's from Fortune Business Insights. So yeah, it's these are great markets to get into if you're an entrepreneur. You may want to consider digital health and privacy as being markets where there's still a lot of value there to be discovered. And then just quickly, I want to touch on some of those technologies that exist in the privacy area, in the privacy realm. Not hit them on a lot of detail because they get too technical and deep dive, and I'm going to be shooed off of here in a minute. But I want to touch on two top technologies that are being talked about. One is differential privacy, and that's the ability for computer algorithms to be able to look at data in a way and analyze it in a way so that it cannot tell any one individual within that data. And so whether that individual could be removed or placed in the data, there shouldn't be any noticeable change in the data. So it protects the individual's identity, the individual's data within that data set, and still allows the analysis of it. So it's trying to maintain that anonymity. And then homomorphic encryption is another big one. It's been around for a while. The problem with it, though, is it takes so much computational power to do that there's still research on making it more efficient. But what it does is it allows the analysis of data without even decrypting it. So that right now, to analyze data, we have to decrypt it first, perform our analysis on it as humans, and then re-encrypt it again. Well, there's the aspect of privacy is being broken then, because now we're removing the anonymity from the data. So by using homomorphic encryption, we can do data analysis on the data without even decrypting it. And then the only one that can actually see the results is the one that has the key to decrypt those results. So it uses similar forms of other encryption where it's using public-private keying to perform these operations. And you as the analyst to get your results, you actually have to have the key to those operations to decrypt them to see what the outcome was. And I think that's it for my slides. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Mike. Thank you.
Hello. Is this the microphone? Okay. So I'm Leonardo, and I'm Leonardo Giver. I'm with Vinia over here, and we run the VR of Southwest Florida meetup. And there's a lot of things exciting happening in VR and AR right now. And one of the biggest reasons is for all the other things that you've heard about before. So we've been talking about digital twins, we've been talking about data, we've been talking about all these devices and all this information, and we need some way to visualize it and really manage all this information. And this is where VR and AR it comes into the picture. So one of the big things right now with digital twins is you have all these devices and you want to recreate what they look like in a 3D world. And through visualizations like VR and AR, we can have recreation of the real device, the real location. You can have an entire factory, the way it's running in real life, and you can see it in your VR device, like if you were walking through the plant floor, right? So these are technologies that are coming up, and it's really, when you have this much data, you really need better ways to visualize it so you can better understand it and manage it. Because at the end of the day, the people dealing with the data are still human beings. So they need to work the same way or we interact with our real world every day. So one of the things that have been announced recently and are working on like big trends right now is, of course, assisted reality, augmented reality devices that lets us see all this digital world and digital representations of the world on top of the existing world. So we're talking about data right now. I'm able to see all these devices and I'm able to see their digital representation in terms of data on top of them. So if I look at a car, I can see information about this car. If I look at a store, I can get information about the store and similar things. So there's companies working on this right now like Niantic. They're famous for Pokemon Go, but now they got a lot of investment from Google and different corporations, and they're really putting a lot of money into augmenting the real world, not just for video game purposes, but even for the enterprise, for really bringing the digital revolution to the way we interact with the world, really bringing spatial computing to be the next platform after the computing that we do in 2D and flat screens today. And this is one of their devices. Snapdragon AR2 is the latest chipset. It's a tiny chipset, it's like this small. The goal of that chipset is that you'll be able to put it on a pair of glasses and you'll have glass level computing at your hands using interactions with your hands and things that are natural, and we wouldn't have to be sitting on our keyboards typing and things like that. Okay, another thing that's coming up is the enterprise headsets. And one of the things that enterprises are using it for is to really visualize and simulate a lot of the work that they do. So I'm in the healthcare industry. I'm from Arthrex, medical device company, right? And one of the big things is how can we give more information to the surgeons when they're performing surgery without having to have multiple people working on their computers to kind of feed them back? How can we provide all this information there overlaid visually the same way that they look at at a piece of paper, the same way that they grab their tools? How can we get information on top of that? And this is where these kind of devices really come into the picture, bringing that all these applications, all this visual content into the industrial world, into the professional world. And yeah, so there's a new one that just came out, the Vive XR Elite. It's just like the Oculus Quest Pro. They're devices that take a video of the real world and overlay 3D content on top of it. So they're different from the AR devices in that you're not actually looking at the real world, you're looking at a video of the real world, but it's more accessible for large corporations. There's more than you can do because just like in the movies, there's a lot more than you can do overlaying content of top of video than looking at the real world and then overlaying something on top of it because you can't really manipulate the real world. Okay. Another major trend in VR is haptics. So not only do we want to see the real world and view it, but we also want to feel it. That's huge right now. And so there's haptic suits are being developed right now that they're really picking up because at the beginning they weren't that great, but now they're starting to get to the people are more comfortable with them. So they're starting to get to the point where you really start feeling things like you can imagine the wind, some force. They're used a lot in things like video games for to immerse you more in the experience. But these things are going to be used in the industrial world as well. It's just a matter of time. And yeah, some of the big companies are haptics. They're developing those gloves and that vest, and it just you feel the if somebody's punching you, really feel like the punch, things like that. And the other major trend is, of course, AI, and you've seen this with all the other technologies and groups that we've talked about. Python is huge in AI, of course, but in VR and AR world, this is super important because right now we're generating, so there's games like Bannerlore who people are making mods already using OpenAI to create dialogue systems. So this is just a further iteration of that, but in the future, you have digital worlds where you'll be able to communicate with avatars just like you communicate with people in the real world, and you'll be able to have them do tasks or talk to them, and they'll give you information back in a natural way that feels better for humans. And even using a computer to search up information, you just talk to somebody, they give you some information back. It just feels natural. So there's OpenAI, it's great for that. There's also the things like Midjourney, where people are creating textures. As you can see here, Midjourney generated this texture, and then they used another software to represent it as a 3D model, but the texture was generated by Midjourney. So now we can generate textures for a real world, and then the next step is, of course, generating the models, and this is there's a few papers. This is where we're starting to see some progress, but we're still very early in generating the models. But you can imagine the future is, we want a conference room, we'll generate a 3D conference room, we'll generate some textures for it, and then we can have people join in and participate in this sort of metaverse experience where everybody's joining digitally, and we have a representation of a real world meeting, but it's all digital. And another technology that's really making the difference is audio interface by NVIDIA, which takes audio input, takes it through an AI deep neural net, and it does some processing, and then it can generate an animation that matches the audio that it took in. So as you're talking through a microphone and a VR headset or an AR headset, your facial expressions would match the words that you're saying, because it's converting your voice to a face animation. And then of course you have your final render with your model or your avatar that you picked. And yeah, so big technologies here is NVIDIA is working on, has a paper, Magic 3D, that has a lot of work into generating models. Things like Midjourney can already generate textures, so we're half of the way there, and it's only going to keep growing. Okay. Yeah, that's it for me.
That's it for us. We're going to have some snacks, some beer. If you want to come hang out with us, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.